All right, and we've started recording. Now we're here. Okay, now I've started recording. So, like I said, please just mute yourself. Make sure you're muted. Hello, please mute yourself. Thank you very much. Now, my name is Jimo Sadiq. I'm
Sorry, we can't hear you. You're muted.
all right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Like I said, please mute yourself so that the recording won't be tampered with. My name is Jimo Sodiq, and I'm a product designer at Telvida Systems International, a company that focuses on building customized softwares for their customers, and they also have IT solutions and video conferencing solutions. Now, we're going to be talking about heuristic evaluation today, and we are we have a number of things to talk about. I'll try as much as possible to break it down so everyone understands. Are we clear? Are we clear on that? All right. Thank you. We are going to move forward now. Um, now, design heuristics are rules of thumb or principles for design based on empirical and research-informed best practices. An example of design heuristics is the famous heuristics for interface design of Jacob Nielsen. If you're learning UX, you cannot learn UX. I can dare say this. You cannot learn UX without coming across the name Jacob Nielsen, because this is someone who has invested time, who has invested years into coming up with principles based on research, deep research that has helped over the years to guide design practices. So heuristics, design heuristics are rules of thumb. They are principles that guide our design. So if someone then asks, how comes a person just came up with principles that is now guiding design for every other designer? Now, this wasn't just come up with. These principles were not just brought up out of thin air to just guide our design processes. These are things that were informed by research based on empirical and research informed best practices. So over the years, there has been comparison, contrasting. This would work, this might not work, and based on that, we have come up and we've agreed that okay, these are principles that we can use while we design. Do we get that? So they are rules of thumb. We just move by them. An example of design heuristics, like I said, is the famous heuristics for interface design of Jacob Nielsen. Now, what is heuristic evaluation? Heuristic evaluation is a thorough assessment of a product's user's interface, and its purpose is to detect usability issues that may occur when users interact with a product and identify ways to resolve them. Now, heuristic evaluation is not necessarily carried out by you as you can't see my screen. Is
Yes,
this
sir. You can't see your screen.
wow? You can't see my screen. All right. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, please. I don't know if you can go start from the beginning because
I
we
will. I
we're not
will. I
seeing your
will.
screen.
My
Okay,
bad.
thank you.
I will. All right. Now, like I said, design heuristics are rules of thumb based on empirical and research-informed best practices. It wasn't just hijacked from thin air. We took time to build these things. Jacob Nielsen, Norman, and a number of other researchers, design researchers, user experience researchers have sat down, taken time, compared results, contracted people to um, test sites, and based on this, they've come up with principles that can help to guide our design. When they say something is best practice, it does not mean that there aren't other practices. It just means that out of those practices, this one is one that we can be sure and say that okay, you can go ahead and use these principles. They will help you to achieve the best to a large extent. Do we understand that? Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. I
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
I
Now,
am.
heuristic
Yes.
evaluation is a thorough assessment of a product's user interface. So, if you are going to, please mute yourself. If you're going to do heuristic evaluation, remember heuristic based on principles, best practices. It's a thorough assessment of a product's user interface. So there has to be a user interface that you are going to evaluate. And its purpose is to detect usability issues that may occur when users, please mute yourselves. Thank you very much. Its purpose is to detect usability issues that may occur when users interact with a product and identify ways to resolve them. Now, is heuristic evaluation the same thing as usability testing? The answer is no. Why? Heuristic evaluation is carried out by usability experts, while usability testing is carried out by users. I'll say again, heuristic evaluation is carried out by usability experts, while usability testing is carried out by users. Heuristic evaluation is just based on how the user interface looks like, we interact with it, and then they come up with a sheet that says, okay, this is good, this is not good, we need to work on this. Meanwhile, usability testing is um, when you get users to test the site or to test the user interface of your digital product. Did we get what I said now?
It's really like
Sorry, sir. I believe there should be a way you can mute others that their mic is on.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But I have to, the thing is, I have to keep presenting. So it's like I have to keep switching screens. That's why I need you to do that. Please mute yourself so that we can continue. We have we have minutes left, but I'll try to make sure that we all understand. So did we get this explanation of heuristic evaluation? Did you get my
Yes.
explanation? Okay. Okay,
From what?
and you can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. We are moving forward. Now, usability heuristics are essentially based on these principles. Now, I'll need you to pay close attention. Pay close attention from this point onwards. You might have missed the remaining and you listen to the recording, but here I need you to pay attention going forward. Just unmute yourself. If you need to give feedback, you can just type on the chat and we'll move forward from there. Thank you very much. Now, they are based on these principles. You know, I said that these best practices were brought forth out of empirical research, research that spanned years. So, based on these things, we have come up with best practices, and then we have categories or principles that these are heuristics or these design principles are based on. The first one is simplicity. The design of the GUI interface. Now, when we say GUI interface, it's like saying GTB bank, graphical user interface. But just pardon that. GUI, the design of the GUI must be simple and minimalist. When we say something is minimalist, not too many things. Simple is simple just does it. Just make things simple. You don't need to make life hard. Just make things very, very simple. In order to optimize and facilitate the user's journey and create empathy, they must be able to see, they must be able to get the reason for which you have built that interface. In addition, navigation must be fluid and intuitive to guide the user directly to the information he or she is looking for. It's not that we're trying to get something, and in the bid to get that, we now have to go through 1,001 steps just to get some certain things. We expect that when users have to sign up or log in on a particular page, when the moment they enter your landing page, it is expected that they should be able to see a place where they can sign up or log in. Why? It saves them stress. Now imagine if you don't have something like that, they will now have to go down, scroll up, scroll down, go to about 4 pages before they can access that. You see, it just makes the whole journey complex. Simplicity is key. Simplicity is key. If you are with me, you can just type on the chat and type simplicity is key. Type it, simplicity is key. And as you do that, yeah, thank you very, very much. You can just type simplicity is key. All right. Thank you, Orija Ereolua. Thank you, Fellow. Thank you, Oge. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Hannah. All right. Thank you very much. I'll move forward now. Simplicity is key indeed. Now, consistency. The UX design must be consistent across all system interfaces. The symbolism of the icons must be easily assimilated. For example, okay, who is this? Edosa, please mute yourself. Now, consistency. Imagine the moment you see home, the moment you see the icon of a home, you can immediately tell, because of the way you have interacted with other platforms, you can immediately tell that this is the home page. This is going back to stage one. It must be consistent. Your images must be of high quality and must adequately illustrate the content. The graphic forms must be in line with the brand's graphic charter. You know, when personally, when I work with brands and when I want to design, one of the first things I ask for is, do you have a style guide? Do you have a design guide? Why? If you have it, I just take that and I come up with a style guide based on your design guide. Why? So that it won't be a case of me designing something absolutely new or using colors that are absolutely foreign to what you have existing. So the graphic forms, your content, your images must be of high quality. The illustration must be of high quality. The symbols, the icons must be of high quality, and they must be simple, easy to interpret. Not that you're going to go and use an icon that hasn't been ever seen before. And you know, this is, you are building a platform. For example, you are building a savings platform, and in a bit to illustrate wallet, you tried to use a banking icon that does not even make sense to what you're trying to interpret. But you're trying to illustrate wallet and you just put a small, just your square, you put that strap and you put that dot there. At that moment, they are able to just immediately interpret that what you're saying is a wallet. And it's so much possible that even within your design, there is inconsistency, whereby on one page you are representing your home icon as home, field icon. On another place, you are representing with outlined icon. That shows that there is no consistency with your design. Consistency is key. Simplicity is key. I hope you understand. You can just type yes. Now, readability. The choice of colors and the hierarchy of the UI components must ensure a better readability of the interface. This guarantees to attract the user and arouse his curiosity to discover the digital device. There's something called enabled states, there's something called hover states, there's something called disabled states. These different states helps the user to understand the state that he or she is on. So once you put your icon and over on something, then it shows when it overs or there is a change in color, it means that, oh, even to a dummy, he or she can interpret that the moment I hover on this, something changes. That means it does something. Okay, maybe I can click it and it will take me to somewhere else. Your choice of colors, we cannot overemphasize the importance of contrast. The importance of contrast. Imagine putting sky blue. I hope you can visualize this. Imagine putting sky blue on a white background. While it's really nice, it might not give it that contrast. You know, while coming up with this slide, I had to make sure that this orange was something that even I can read on my own, so that there wouldn't be an issue with contrast even while you're looking at it. The next one we are going to be looking about is accessibility. The interface must be flexible and responsive. What do we talk about? What are we saying when we're talking about responsive? When we are moving from one point to the other, your interface must still represent what you're trying to pass across. So it can adapt to the different screen sizes. For example, computer, smartphone, tablet. If you are somebody that uses a platform such as Framer, there's a no code tool called Framer. The three basic interfaces that they will give you on Framer is computer, tablet, and smartphone. Meaning, what is on your computer must be on your smartphone, must be on your tablet, but they might be represented in different ways. Accessibility also has to do with designing with people who have certain disabilities in mind. So you are designing such that a blind person, once a blind person comes to your site and uses text to speech, he or she can read what you're saying using of alternate text. Alternate text means that, excuse me, when there is an image somewhere and the image is not loading well, the alternate text can tell the user what is meant to be in that place. So even though the image is not loading yet, they can tell that this is what is meant to be here. Attractiveness now. Attractiveness. So while we are doing all this, while we are designing for accessibility, simplicity, readability, it must be attractive. It must be attractive. If it's not attractive, then you have not done the best job. Please, are you going to get the slides on the group? Yes, you are going to get the slides. I'll look for a way to share the slides with us, and the recording is also going to be available. Now we're moving forward. I mentioned principles that Jacob Nielsen, I mentioned Jacob Nielsen while we're starting. And here are 10 usability heuristics for user interface design according to Jacob Nielsen. For those that are just joining, I'll explain again. Design heuristics means rules of thumb, general design principles, best practices that help to guide our design. Now, don't worry if you cannot see what is here. I am going to move step by step to explain what each of these things mean. Now, the first one, visibility of system status. We have match between system and real world. We have user control and freedom. We have consistency and standards. We have error prevention. We have recognition rather than recall. We have flexibility and efficiency of use. We have aesthetics and minimalist design. We have helping users with errors. And the last one is help and documentation. Now, I've just broadly mentioned everything. Let's now highlight everything one by one. Visibility of system status. Now, your design must always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable amount of time. When users know the current system status, they learn the outcome of their prior interactions and determine the next steps. Predictable interactions create trust in the product as well as the brand. Now, look at this for example. Once you have added something to cart, imagine you added something to cart and if you're with me now, can you give me a platform? Can you type in the chat bar a platform that can tell you this item added to your cart? Can you tell me a platform that you have seen something like this? Just type it. Okay, Jumia, Konga, Shin. I like that person that puts in Shin. Seller, yeah, Killmall, Udemy. Thank you very, very much. Now, what that shows you is the system status. It tells you immediately that, okay, what you clicked has been added to cart. You want to buy bags from Shein, for example. You want to buy necklaces and you click on add to cart. You have selected the quantity and you click on add to cart. It just tells you item added to your cart. That just tells you that based on what you can see, what you have selected or the bag has been added to cart, you're on your way to receiving a debit alert. You get what I'm saying? Or the moment you click on add that gadget to Jumia, the moment you click on add mouse, after they have clickbaited you, or after they have showed you ads on YouTube, and you add that material, that gadget to cart, you just know that you're on your way to being debited. So you can see this also, this percentage bar. Normally there was a point where the percentage bar did not used to include the particular percent, especially in some games that we play. You just see the percentage bar, you just hang somewhere, and you cannot tell. Maybe it's after, for those that use BlackBerry, Nokia Asha rather. For those that use Nokia Asha, you can relate to this. If you play Diamond Rush, the percentage bar will just hang, and you cannot tell whether it's till next tomorrow or in the next 1 hour or in the next 1 minute that your game is going to load. I'm just bringing it down to a place where we can visualize. I hope you are with me. Now, when it comes to these sneakers, slippers, boots, the difference between this, and this, you can see based on this check mark, it means that you have selected the sneakers, or at least the sneaker is active or is separated from the slippers and the boots. Predictable interactions create trust in the product as well as the brand. I'm going to be explaining this too. It's also part of the usability heuristics. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's what a rule says. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Still like an artist, use existing interactions, predictable interactions, use existing shortcuts. This is one of the reasons why I love Figma as a software. I really love using Figma. This slide, I came up with this slide using Figma. One of the reasons why I like it is because the interactions, the shortcuts, the system status, they are based on what you know. These are things that you can already tell or you must have interacted with at one point or the other. Now let's move to the next usability heuristics. Now, match between the system and the real world. Look at this place here. On this image, it says highlighting text in an e-reading app. Highlighting text in an e-reading app is similar to highlighting text in a book. So why is this? Why is it that when you highlight text in an e-reading app, for those that have used Adobe Acrobat or Nitrogen Reader or even Microsoft Word, and you've highlighted the text using a particular color, it's the same as highlighting when you are using a book, when you are reading a book, a physical book is the same. Why? Because it gives you a sense of similarity. The design should speak the user's language. Use words, phrases, and concepts familiar to the user rather than internal jargon. Follow real world conventions, making information appear in a natural, logical order. For example, imagine you want to get something from Jumia. Imagine you want to get something from Jumia, and when you are about to purchase, or when you're about to get something, you know that normally it will tell you add to cart. Normally it will tell you add to cart even before you buy. And then at the point for adding to cart, who can give me another word for cart? Another word for cart. You can just a big word for cart. You can just type it. A big word for cart. Aha. Add to cart. Okay, let's say instead of using add to cart, you now put make an addition to your carriage. Convey to the point of acquisition. Wish list does not necessarily do it. Add to list. Basket. Most of these things, you know that most of the platforms that you make use of, they tell you straight up add to cart. Then you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Acquire. It does not. It does not release. It does not really appeal to what they are used to. The way you should design depends very much on your specific users. Terms, concepts, icons, and images that seem perfectly clear to you and your colleagues may be unfamiliar and confusing to your users. When you put instead of buy now and you put make acquisition, just imagine instead of buy now, make acquisition instantly. You and your developers might understand what it means, but users, illiterates, might not understand. But when you say buy now, they can tell that, oh, they want me to buy it now. Okay, buy now. So do you get what I'm trying to say? Moving to the next one, user control and freedom. I really like this. While he said add tobacco bag. Actually, add tobacco bag is not that bad, but from what people are used to, they are not used to saying tobacco bag. Add tobacco bag. That's a very, very funny one. Now, the next one is user control and freedom. You look at this image. Even if you are using a browser, you know that once you have gone to a particular page and you have made a mistake, the back icon is always there to rescue you. The moment you click on back, it takes you back to the previous page. Do you understand that? Or you are trying to sign up. You have clicked on sign up, but you now remember that you have an account. You now notice that do you already have an account? Log in. Have you come across that before? You clicked on sign up, but then you want to quickly go back. So you now see already have an account, log in. So that helps you to just log in instead of now clicking back. So at every point, you should always give your users the option to exit. They need a clearly marked emergency exit to leave the unwanted action without having to go through an extended process. So without having to press back like 4 times, they need to be able to go back to the previous page. When it's easy for people to back out of a process or undo an action, it fosters a sense of freedom and confidence. So it helps them to do their rubbish with confidence. So they do their rubbish. They just go to the wrong pages. But they know that once they find out that, oh, I'm on the wrong page, just they know that all they have to do is just press back and they go to the correct page. All right. I'm glad to see that you're with me. Now I'll just quickly make a quick recap. The first one, visibility of system status. Second one, match between the system and the real world. Third one, user control and freedom. The fourth one now, I mentioned this. Now, consistency and standards. Consistency and standards. Users should not have to wonder whether different words, situations, or actions mean the same thing. Follow platform and industry conventions. Jacob's law states that people spend most of their time using digital products other than yours. Users' experiences with those other products set their expectations. Failing to maintain consistency may increase the user's cognitive load by forcing them to learn something new. Excuse me. People really do not want to learn something new. They don't want to spend rack their memory trying to get something new. They want to immediately. So they know that, for example, for Adobe Acrobat Reader, they know that once they click and they just see immediately, the moment you highlight a text, you see the option to highlight it. For those that have used other applications, you find out that that's how it goes too, especially reading apps. That's how it helps you to do it. Once you select, it gives you the option to highlight. Why? Because when people are using other platforms, that is what they are used to. So now giving them headache, trying to invent the wheel, it will not work. If you notice, we have Cowrywise, we have Piggyvest, we have Kuda, we have OP, and most of these apps, if you notice, to an extent, they use the same language. They use basically the same language. Even our banking apps, they use the same language. They don't try to reinvent the wheel. They really do not try to reinvent the wheel. Why? In the place of reinventing the wheel, the users, there is cognitive load. Cognitive load means that you are stressing their brain. They will have to now load a new method of doing something else, a new method of invest, or a new method of clicking save, a new method of registering wallet, a new method of creating accounts. Just go and flow with the new consistency standards, the way things have the way things have been. Now, this does not mean you should not be innovative, but you should be careful so that you, permit me to use the word as Yoruba would say, asheju. Don't overdo it. That's exactly the word. Don't overdo it. Make sure that you are consistent. Your UI is consistent with what people are used to encountering. Are you with me now? If you're with me, can you just let's take a check. Let's take a check. Can you just type consistency and standards? If you're with me, type consistency and standards. If you're with me, type consistency and standards. Bamidele, your hand is raised. I'll take that. Bamidele, please. What are you trying to say, Bamidele? Wow, I can see a lot of us are active. That's cool. Okay, okay. I will assume that Bamidele's hand was a mistake. So I'll move on. Error prevention. Now, good error messages are important, but the best designs carefully present the problems from occurring in the first place. Some people say an adage says prevention is better than cure. Can you please mute?
Oh,
Please mute at this point. Mute,
ah, this
please.
thing is paining me, honestly.
I
I wish
I
that
know
this
it's
thing did not happen in a place like this.
I
If it was a
know.
place like Lagos where everybody can do as they like, me, I'll say you should sue them.
Bamidele, please do not sue them. All right, please focus. Make sure your attention is here. My screen is turned off. I know that. The thing is, if I'm going to mute people by myself, I have to come back to manually do it, and that will turn off my screen. So I was saying prevention is better than cure. Now, look at this, for example. These are good practices. Once you are typing a password, it is better for them to tell you while you are typing that it is too short than when you have typed the password, you are now trying to log in or you are trying to sign up. They are now telling you that error password, too short. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Just tell them while they are typing. And if you have noticed, most platforms now, they are beginning to get just acclimatized to this particular principle. While you are typing your password now, they will immediately tell you whether it's short or long. They tell you whether you have not added an alphanumeric character. They tell you whether it is not up to 8 characters. So when you are entering your email, they immediately tell you whether your email is correct or not. They tell you whether it's valid or not. You either eliminate error-prone conditions or check for them and present users with a confirmation option before they commit to the action. Make sure they confirm. So when they are putting their mail, the moment is not correct, you give them that X, that red state. There, while we design now, there's something called error state. So that input field will just be red. It tells the user immediately that something is wrong. Then we give them a short message that tells them that this is what is going on. There are two types of errors, slips and mistakes. Slips are unconscious errors caused by inattention. Mistakes are conscious errors based on a mismatch between the user's mental model and the design. So what the user has in mind is different from what you have designed. That's, in this case, is not the user's fault. It is your fault now. Because the user is used to something, but you give them something else. Imagine a situation where password comes before email address. That's then based on what the user knows, the user immediately puts in email address in place for password, and the user puts in password in the place of email address. Then you are now showing error, error, error. In this case, it's not a slip, it's a mistake. Why? Because it is not what they are used to. So remember also consistency and standards. Error prevention, prevent errors. If you are consistent, the chances that you fall into error, it is very, very low. Once your design is consistent and is based on existing standards, it will be hard for you to make errors. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you here? Thank you. Thank you. Jessica, you would like to speak. Can you please type? If possible, please type. We are running against time. Please type, if possible. Jessica, please type if possible. I would read your message. I promise to read your message. Now, recognition rather than recall. Recognition rather than recall. Microsoft Word makes use of this. The moment you highlight something, it gives you options as to whether you should be in italics, whether it should be bold, or whether it should be underlined. Another example is Google search. The moment you type B on Google search, most of the things that you have searched for previously that starts from letter B would be recommended. Why? Because they want you to recognize instead of trying to recall. I do this a lot now. I've seen a video before on YouTube, or I've searched for a particular music before on Spotify. The moment I type O on Spotify now, one of the things that come up for me is Oil on My Head by Ibn, a musician. Why? Because I've listened to it before. So instead of me trying to recall that, oh, what's the name of that song? What's the name of that song? What's the name of that song? The moment once I just know O, I just type O and it gives me the remaining. Or let's say for someone likes listening to Crazy Things by Thames and you type C, it just gives you the suggestion immediately. Crazy Things by Thames. So it helps you to just quickly recognize, oh, this is what I wanted to click on, and it just helps you to click on it. Recognition rather than recall. The user should not have to remember information from one part of the interface to another. Information required to use the design, e.g., field labels or menu items, should be visible or easily retrievable when needed. Humans have limited short-term memories. They have limited short-term memories. That's why people will tell you you should be able to pass the information you want to, or even their attention span is very, very limited. When they go on your interface, when they go on your landing page and you need them to sign up, you should not put your sign up button at the bottom of the page. It should immediately be on the landing page. Why? Because they really, you should help them to recognize it, not trying to recall, okay, where is that basket? Where is that add to cart? Where should add to cart be? That is not how it should be. You should help them to recognize instead of trying to recall. Interfaces that promote recognition reduce the amount of cognitive effort required from users. Has Jessica typed that question? Okay, Jessica has not typed that question. Now, humans, once you are trying to make a design or once you are trying to design a user interface, what you should be aiming for is stressless design. If you are with me, can you just type stressless? Stressless. Just type stressless. We are to aim for stressless design. Don't stress the user at all. Don't stress the user at all in the slightest. So if you know that there is a way you can employ, a method you can employ that will help the user arrive at the destination he or she is heading to using the shortest way possible, employ it while not jeopardizing or while not trading off the usability or the efficiency of the whole design platform. Stressless design. Oh, Jessica, I didn't mean to raise your hand. All right. Now, I'll move to, let me recap again. I really want us to get it. Visibility of system status, match between the system and the real world, user control and freedom, consistency and standards, error prevention, recognition rather than recall. The next one is flexibility and efficiency of use. Oh, I love Figma. I really, really love Figma. I own a YouTube channel where I teach Figma and I teach tips and tricks. And one of the videos that one field where I just made the video on is shortcuts, Figma shortcuts. I really love shortcuts. Shortcuts hidden from novice users may speed up the interaction for the expert user so that the design can cater to both inexperienced and experienced users. Allow users to tailor frequent actions. Flexible processes can be carried out in different ways so that people can pick whatever method works for them. Now, for this one, we'll talk about this later. For this one of the ways by which you can help people is to make it very, very flexible so that I will know those that are following me. What does Control V do or Command V do? This is tricky now. Trickish rather. What does Control V or Command V do? Just type it, please. Type it, please. Type it. All right.
Copy and paste.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope this is clear. Make things very, very flexible. Like I said, this is why I love Figma. I press Control C. I can recite a number of shortcuts off the top of my head. I know Control C is copy, Control V is paste, Control Shift R is replace. This replace is very, very specific. R is rectangle, O is ellipse, L is line, P is pen, shift P is pen, pencil. So it makes things very, very easy. Shortcut. So when I'm working, it just helps me speed up my design. So for example, I'm trying to do a demo for an interview and they tell me to quickly design some things. It's just flex. Instead of having to scroll to that place to select that tool, instead of having to do that, you just press Control V and you have pasted. Control C, you have copied, you have pasted. Control D, you have duplicated. Control Shift R, Shift 2, you have zoomed in. Those things, they just help your processes. You are just faster. You are faster as a designer. It just helps you it speeds things up. I hope we got that. Now, moving to the next one. I've talked about this before. Aesthetic and minimalist design. Aesthetic and minimalist design. One platform that embodies this is Google or Apple. You can see it across all their platforms. Aesthetic and minimalist design. If you go on Google site or the Google search bar, this is basically how it looks like. The Google search bar, this is like a basic wireframe of how the Google search bar looks like. Very, very simple. Interfaces should not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. Every extra unit of information in an interface competes with the relevant units of information and diminishes their relative visibility. Excuse me. This heuristic does not mean you have to use a flat design. It's about making sure that you are keeping the content and visual design focused on the essential. Focus, don't lose focus. Focus on the essentials. It's not everything that has to be included in your design. It's not everything that has to be included in your homepage. I know I'm shaking some people's table. That your design on Figma or Adobe XD or Penpot that you are using that as that everything is on one page. Take it away. Look for only one thing. Look for two things. The most important three things that are there. A very, very good example is your navigation bar or your mobile app or mobile application. That your mobile application that has about six things on the navigation bar. Take it away. Just look for the simple, at most four things: home, profile, settings, save. Just look for very, very simple things and put there. Minimalist design, clean design. It helps the eyes. Let there be white space. You don't let it be, it's not now going to be too much. Like I said, you don't overdo. Make sure you keep the content and visual design focused on the essentials. Ensure that the visual elements of the interface support the user's primary goals. So I'm in homepage. Homepage means homepage generally gives you a bit of everything, especially when you're using mobile apps. It gives you a short, it's like gives you a shortcut to most of the places that you need to go to. But a landing page, for example, a landing page for a savings app that enables user to log in and sign up. You don't now start giving me about you. I really do not want to know about you. Once you give me a brief information, just hero text, subtext, give me a way to log in and sign up so that I can get on with what I want to do. Google search, even as Google is the largest search engine, it just immediately tells you once you type what you want to search, the platform is very, very simple and easy to navigate. Do we get? Now we move on to the eighth one. Yeah, yeah. No, sorry, the ninth one now. Now, help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. For those that have been using laptops for a while, when there are errors on your laptop and you see error X02548, you will know how stressful that can be when you now have to go and start searching Google to get your error or get the language or what the code means or error B25 or it just it stresses your brain. You're like, what was this? Look at this, for example. Now, this is helpful. Looks like this web page is missing or removed. Give them an option to go back. Give them an option to go back. Or you have a particular page that you are working on, and the only thing you now put is this site is under maintenance. How would you help them? Tell them to go back. Just put somewhere there, go back to home and help them. Give them messages that is in plain language. Don't stress them. Humans want less stress. Humans want less stress. The situation of Nigeria is already enough to stress people. Imagine somebody is under the sun looking for a ride. Then the person installs a mobile application that enables them to hail taxi rides. And the next thing that they are seeing is error 2512 under hot sun. Help the person. Don't stress the person. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, these error messages should also be presented with visual treatments that will help users notice and recognize them. You see this here, message deleted. You see the bin message beside it, that trash message beside it. Then there's an option to undo. So, even if the person is a dummy, once the person sees bin or trash, the person knows, okay, this now has gone to trash. Undo it. And it helps them to recover from that. We're going to be moving very, very fast now. So I can take one or two questions. This is the last one. This is the last one. Help and documentation. Now, I need to know if I need to know people that are very, very conversant with sites now. Now, what is that part of a site? I need you to just comment this, put it in the chat. What is that part of a site that helps users generally to understand the site better or helps them answer their questions? I've given an answer to my questions. So what is that site? Look, from here too, you can tell what it is. Exactly. FAQ. FAQ. About also helps. So you just need to help. Okay, who is this person that enabled this video? Ah, this person is looking really nice. Wow. All right, about us and FAQ. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very, very much. Now, it's best if the system does not need additional explanation. However, it may be necessary to provide documentation to help users understand how to complete their tasks. Help and documentation content should be easy to search and focused on the user's tasks. Keep it concise, keep it short, and list concrete steps that need to be carried out. Let there be proper documentation when you are designing. That's why you buy a phone. If you buy 1,000, it's iPhone now that they don't come with user guides. But when you buy Android, they will keep giving you user guide, user guide, user guide. Why? Because they want to help you understand. Even on iPhone, do you know that there is a user guide for iPhone? There is a help part where the moment you click on it, or the moment you go there, if you are having issue with the site or with using your iPhone, it basically helps you to understand what it is. The name of the part, the name of the app is Tips on iPhone. It comes with your iPhone. Once you are having issues, it just helps you to understand it. Now, those are the 10 usability heuristics. I'll go from the beginning again. Visibility of system status, match between the system and the real world, user control and freedom, consistency and standards, error prevention, recognition rather than recall, flexibility and efficiency of use, aesthetic and minimalist design, help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors, help and documentation, which is the final one. Now, here are some things which you shouldn't do during heuristic evaluation. Don't just rely on solely, don't just rely solely on the most popular set of usability heuristics. For example, don't say because Jacob Nielsen usability heuristics is the most popular, that's the only one you will use. The next one, don't use heuristic evaluation as a replacement for usability testing. I've established this at the beginning. Heuristic evaluation basically is done by usability experts. Usability testing is done or is carried out by users. Just make sure that you do your heuristic evaluation. You can hire usability experts or testers to help you carry out heuristic evaluation. And once it's time to carry out your usability testing, you make sure that you get users that are going to test it. And the final one, the final thing you should not do not postpone heuristic evaluation to the end of the design process. That's when you now find out that the amount of things you now have to correct is about 20. Meanwhile, if you have been doing it right before the development or the moment as you are designing, before the moment the MVP stands for minimum viable product, yeah. MVP, minimum viable product, means that is the base thing that okay is needed for the platform or the program or the application you are building. That is the basic thing needed for you to run it. Oh, are you all with me? Are you still with me? Are you still with me? All right, very good. So make sure that you carry out heuristic evaluation while you design your application before the development, so that you will not begin to give the developers stress. And with that, we have come to the end of this class. We've come to the end of day 3. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned a thing or two. For those that want to ask, let me answer now. I will share the slides with you. It might be in form of a link, but I will share the slides with you. And yes, in terms of the class, it's being recorded. Let me stop the recording. Let me stop the recording now. Okay.